Hello again, my little conscripts, and welcome to another Mordian Glory video. In today's episode, we'll be casting our ever-critical eye over a 10th edition Imperial Guard Codex datasheet. This time in our crosshairs, we have the big dog himself, the head of the whole shebang, Lord Solar Leontus. Now, old Lenny here, he's been through a bit of a tough time. Started off most popular belle at the ball, and GW's nerfed him and nerfed him and nerfed him until finally, when this codex came out, people said he wasn't any good anymore. Well, guess what? Lord Solar's back. He is now being fielded as a go-to unit in some competitive lists. And there's a very good reason for it. And so without further ado, let's not mess around today. Let's mount up, wave our sword in the air, don our Age of Sigmar helmet, and gallop right into this. As is tradition, let us begin with a cheeky gander at the Lord Solar's stat line. First up, we've got a movement value of 12 inches. That's actually really good. This goddamn robotic horse thing can gallop along faster than most tanks. It's crazy. And it's kind of a bit of a gimmick. It's kind of a bit of fun because most of the time, the Lord Solar is going to be sitting back doing his sort of forced multiplier thing, just ordering units, but having that 12-inch move can be quite useful in a pinch. When we're getting close to the end of the game, every last unit needs to be thrown into the crucible to try and score whatever points we can get our hands on. Being able to gallop a big 12 inches, maybe with a cheeky advance for a final turn primary game snatch and grab, isn't bad. So 12 inches is actually pretty useful. However, it is important to note that the Lord Solar is a cavalry model, not an infantry model. So even if he's leading like a blob of guys, they can breach through walls, they can move through terrain, no problem, but he would have to go around things like L-shaped ruins. So you'd have to take that into account when you're looking at his movement. As for his defensive profile, he's pretty tough for a guard character. He's T4 with a 3+ save, 8 wounds, and a 4+ vulnerable save. Now let me make something clear. If this guy gets into a fight with almost anyone else's character, like a shield captain or a blade champion, or even a space marine captain, he'll probably lose. But he has enough durability here that whenever someone has gone to combat with him and they've been like, okay, my instant squad's going to beat the crap out of Leontus, they've been like, how many wounds have you got? It's like 8. I'm like, what? 8? So he's durable enough that he can survive getting ganked by a bunch of goobers, but he is not a duelist. He is not a combat character. He won't be getting into fights with, definitely not Demon Primarchs, but he won't even be getting into fights with elite combat like units of other armies. Like 8-bound will tear this guy to pieces, and he can just about hold his own against some of the low-level characters. And remember, this guy is our top dog. So our best character can just about hold it against some low-level characters. He does have Leadership 6, though, which I always forget about. But when the Tyranids start calling down the Shadow and the Warp, his blob is going to be slightly more likely to pass it. And he also has Objective Control, too. One for him, one for the horse. That covers his defensive stat line, but let's get into his weapons and war gear. Now, being an epic character, he doesn't have any options. He just comes with what he comes with. And he's got Soul's Righteous Gaze. I just want to take a moment here. I want to salute the person that named this weapon, because that's the name of his big epic like pistol. You can't see it on the picture here, but he's got a pistol. It's like really long. It reminds me of like an old big ass flintlock kind of thing. This is the kind of weapon naming which is missing from so many 40k units these days. You know, Conquest, you know, that's okay. But this reminds me of something that would be in the old world. Like the Hochland long rifle. Do you know what I mean? If you actually go and look up what the Hochland long rifle's full name is, this is kind of in the same vibe of that. Anyway, before I go completely deep diving around a random weapon's name, let's get into what it actually does. Soul's Righteous Gaze is a big pistol. It's a very big pistol. It's only got a 12-inch range, but it fires 2 shots, and he hits on a 2+. That's actually pretty good. I wouldn't have blamed them if they'd made him hit on a 3+. He hits on a 2+, and it's strength 8. It's like plasma powered, but it's AP-2, damage 2. So essentially, it's like a 2-shot plasma pistol. That's 1 less AP, but it's always supercharged. I quite like it. It's not going to be blasting off main battle tanks, but it'll slot a Marine here and there, given a chance. You've also got his melee weapons, and you've got Conquest, which is the big sword. And Conquest is 6 attacks at weapon skill 2+, strength 6, AP-2, damage 2. Honestly, all I want to say is, Dreer, eat your heart out. You look at this weapon, and yeah, sure, Dreer's like anti-infantry something and does like Devil's. The moment you give your main Krieg combat character a damage 1 weapon, you get out of here, you nerd. Like, I actually like Conquest because it's not a gimmick. It's, here are 6 attacks that will basically kill a Marine each one. Between his shooting and his combat, like, Leontus can reliably take care of any sort of small, shitty 5-man squads, which might think that he's an easy target. You've also got Constantine's hooves, but I'm going to be real, you don't really need to even take this into account. It may be a robo-horse, but it's still a horse trying to kick you in the head. If you're a Gretchen, it'll probably brain you. If you're a Marine, it probably won't bother you. The big thing about Leontus, though, is that everything we've looked at so far basically doesn't matter. But why are we talking about it more? It's on the data sheet for the sake of completeness. I thought I should cover it. But it's a guard character, guys. And it's not a guard character rolling around in a tank. It's basically a classic guard character. And that means it ain't a damage dealer. It ain't a damage taker. It ain't a heartbreaker. It's a force multiplier. And so where Leontus shines is in what he can lead and what his abilities are. First up, we'll look at what he can lead. Basically everything. Artillery Rough Riders, every battle line choice, screw it, Death Riders, why not? Even Kazakin, even Krieg Combat Engineers. I think he used to be able to lead Militarum Tempestus Scions as well, but they've taken that away from him. But still, he can lead pretty much anything you'd want him to lead. Do you want him galloping around with a bodyguard of Royal Lancers? Go for it. Rough Riders and Death Riders have got you covered. Do you want to have an elite Stormtrooper bodyguard? Chuck in the goddamn Kazakin. Do you want him leading the Engineers? I have no idea why you ever would want that situation, but you've got it. The big thing, though, and what often a lot of people traditionally, what people like to do with him, is have him leading a battle line unit. Cadian Shock, Jungle Fighters, or Deathcore Krieg. And the reason they liked him leading those units is because then you could create what's called the Supreme Command Blob, where you have him join a battle line unit like Cadians, and then because Cadians can have 2 leaders, you can then put a command squad in there. The command squad's got the Master Vox, and because of the way it's written and the way it's designed to work, the Lord Solar could increase his order range from 6 inches to 24 inches. And he can do 3 orders. Now, there has been an FAQ here. He can't order any Astra Militarum units. He used to be able to, because that meant he could order Ogrins and Bulgrins, and he could order Super Heavies. Now that's been changed to only Regiment and Squadron. So he can order everything that other officers can basically order. So yes, his orders have been diddled. And that's one of the big reasons why a lot of people said, don't take him anymore. But he does still have a lot to bring to the table. Firstly, you've got the Collegiate Astralex, which means that he can redeploy up to 3 units. Now remember, this redeploy is done after you have deployed, but before you know who is going first. So you can't like roll off see your opponents going first and go, haha, I'm going to redeploy these units defensively. Or you see that you're going first and you go, haha, I'm going to redeploy units offensively. But the redeploy is still nice. I often forget he's got it, but that is not a damning indictment of Leontus. That is a damning indictment of me and my brain. Cleverer and better players than I will often get a lot of mileage out of the redeploy shenanigans. But the big one, the hot tamale, the main shtick is you gain an extra CP. You always gain an extra CP. At the start of your command phase, if he's on the battlefield, you gain that CP. Now bear in mind you can't gain more than 1 CP in a battle round. And so it takes your total from 2 CP in a round, 3 CP. But still, that is really nice. And if I'm going to be brutally honest with you, that is the main reason why we're still taking him. We're still thinking about him. Because like I said, old Lenny has been heavily nerfed. He's up to 150 points now. If you want to take a Supreme Command Blob, it's like 280 points. Ugh. And then he can't even order like Ogrins and Bulgrins and stuff anymore. So he's been hit real hard. He's very expensive if you go Supreme Command Blob, and he can't order as much. But what if you didn't do that? What if you, as crazy as it sounds, broke with tradition? I know. Traditions are what separate us from the renegades, the heretics, the traitors, and of course the worst people of all, Tau players. But what if you broke with tradition and you just took the Lord's Soul on his own? And you just had him sitting on your home objective, generating your extra CP. Now you might ask, why would you do that? Well, let me tell you. Introducing the Hammer of the Emperor detachment. Now, I wasn't impressed by the Hammer of the Emperor detachment when I first saw it. I thought it was, and I quote myself, a big bag of shit. But I've since revised my opinion, and you better believe I will be doing deep dives on all of the different guard detachments. I'm just taking them to tournaments first and do some reviews based on experience, not on theory. Now, this isn't going to be a deep dive of Hammer of the Emperor. Like I said, that will come in a separate video. But what this is going to highlight is how CP hungry Hammer of the Emperor is. Every single turn, including turn 1, you are going to be smashing and blazing every single time. Crash through. That is the one that lets you go through walls. Go through terrain. And remember, this one lets you go through terrain, and when you combine that with Iron Tread, and please correct me if I'm reading this wrongly, this lets you go through enemy units. You just can't end with an engagement range. So between this and Crash Through, you're going in a straight line. As long as you don't end on top of an enemy unit, you're going in a straight line. So that's 1 CP, but also Blazing Advance allows you to shoot in a turn in which you advanced, which also pairs very nicely with this Iron Tread, because that lets you auto advance 6. So every single turn, whether it's going to be a unit of Kazakin instead of Taurox, going something mad like 21 with move like 21 inches, then disembarking like 3 inches, so going like 24 inches and blasting people in the face, you're going to want 2 CP. Or you send a Hellhound forward like 19 inches and flame people in the face, and the next turn you're going to want to overwatch them, so that's your 3 CP like accounted for there. Or you do something, or you do the same sort of overwatch shenanigans, but you do it with Krieg heavy weapon teams. Either way, you are burning through 2 to 3 CP every single turn, without fail. And if you're not going for things with Tauroxes or going for Hellhounds, if you just like smash like a Rogue or Dawn Commander through one wall, out the other, and blast your opponent's ass off, you're still going to use both of these. And if your opponent then tags your vehicle, you're like, I would quite like to avoid the -1 to hit from being tagged in close combat. Boom, tactical withdrawal. So Hammer of the Emperor is really, really, really CP intensive. All of its combos are CP intensive. All of its combos essentially require you to, if you want to get the most out of them, 3 CP in like a battle round. Well, you can't do that unless you have the Lord Solar. And Hammer of the Emperor is arguably, right now, at time of recording, Guard's most competitive, most powerful detachment. And so because Hammer of the Emperor is our best attachment, because it's very CP intensive, it's very CP hungry, the Lord Solar, despite all of his nerfs, by everything they've done to him, one man betrayed by his country, now it's only hope. Well, at least that's what I think. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you think the Lord Solar is a good choice, or do you think outside of Hammer the Emperor, maybe he's a bit trash? If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to never miss an episode. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Alex Dengal, Bon Vert, Lord Pryor, Mark Panconi, RJ Scorpion, Swordfish Trombone, Try Again Bragg, John Stubbs, Nick Walsh, Diesel Fox, and August Barney. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.